What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for another episode of building Coruscant. This week is all about interiors. I'm going to be doing some more work in that hallway of the apartment block, adding some doors, lights, keypads, all that cool stuff. I'm going to be putting down some bunk beds and tiles as well as some other stuff in the barracks. But before I get into this update, I want to address something from last week's update. As you guys know, I've got those numbers on the side of my barracks and I'm going to put them on the side of my armory as well. And I had a lot of people saying that this was inaccurate to the Star Wars universe, that they don't actually use Arabic numbers, they use something else, and I don't know where that's coming from, because I have seen multiple examples in the original trilogy, the Clone Wars, and even in the Mandalorian TV show, where numbers that we use are clearly visible. And so if it's good enough for Lucasfilms, and if it's in the Star Wars movies and TV shows, I see no reason why I can't have it in Coruscant. I just wanted to address that at the beginning of this update so everyone knew kind of like what my thoughts and rationale was towards that. And you're also going to be seeing more numbers in this update. All that out of the way, it's time for me to get building. I'm going to start with the hallway and the apartment buildings to begin this week. I was waiting for a bunch of rare parts needed to build these because this will be the most detailed section I have worked on so far, so it needed a lot of kind of weird parts. The red bricks you see laid out on the ground represent the doors of each apartment. I put them down first because I wanted to make sure they were spaced apart evenly from each other, and now I know where to stop each section of the wall. In the middle of the hallway, I'm going to have an elevator that leads to the upper floors. Each apartment will have a frame around the door, keypad, light fixture, and apartment number. The hard part is getting the headlight brick at the right height so I can attach the tile to it and have the tile as close to the ground as possible. I'm going to do this on both sides with two curved bracket tiles on top to make the door frame. I thought a keypad would be the way to go with these doors, as they seem to be the way most doors are accessed in the Star Wars galaxy. I was going to put the apartment number on the right side of the door with everything else, but it's getting kind of crowded over there, so I'm going to try putting it on the frame above the door. I'm going to be lighting up each light as well, but that will come together later. Let's talk apartments. So I got the first two apartment buildings in. I must say they look pretty good. This is basically what I had envisioned. I think the only thing I had to change were the numbers. Like I said, there just wasn't really enough room over here, and I didn't want to put them over here just because that would be weird with all this stuff over here and then only one thing over here. So I think they look pretty nice above the doors. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, but I think I will be keeping them there. I actually enjoyed putting in the fronts of these apartments quite a bit, more so than I thought I would. I was kind of loath to put any kind of interior in here just because I was like, it's going to take away from the rest of the build, time, money, parts. I am very much like an external kind of guy, the outsides of buildings and vehicles and stuff. I'm not so much for interiors, but a lot of people were asking for it, and I was like, you know what, that would be good. I feel like it's good to balance out this mock because I don't want to make this empty husk of a mock that's cool from the outside but is just completely devoid of life on the inside, if that makes sense. So this will help these buildings feel more lived in if they have some kind of interior. I am going to be lighting these lamps up. I'm just going to use the lights that I have been using in my previous mocks. I get these from Light My Bricks. They are a great lighting place. I would highly recommend them. And I'm going to do the same thing I did on Utapau. I had actually these same lamps where I just stuck a headlight brick directly behind the lamp, and then I am going to thread this light through the hole back there. And then back here I'm just going to have my power box and transformer, and hopefully I'll be able to light up half of this side with one battery pack and then the other half with another. So that would only mean I would only need 2 battery packs for this whole building. Building these door frames was actually pretty tricky. You can see the curved bracket pieces don't completely line up with the jumper plate in the middle. There's a little bit of a jump between the two, and that is because I had to use these 1x2x3 quarter, 3 2/3 or whatever they're called brick, which you can see is just smaller than 2 bricks stacked on top of each other, which means this bracket piece is going to be slightly lower than anything that's placed over here in this area. It's not a huge deal, it's not that noticeable, and I actually kind of like it just because it breaks up the curve. It breaks up the arch of this doorway, and just, I don't know, something about it appeals to me, so I'm going to keep it like that. Now, I was going to put in the elevator door before I started talking, but I don't know what it's going to look like yet. I do want to, keep it red and maybe have like a dark bluish gray frame around it, but I don't want it to look exactly like these apartment doors because it's not going to have any lights or number, and it's going to be much bigger, so I don't want to confuse people. I really want to hit home the fact that, this is an elevator. So I'm thinking about maybe going with dark bluish gray doors or just some color to mix it up and give off the idea that this is an elevator, not an apartment door. Thankfully, I have another haul of parts in. I just cannot believe how many parts I'm going through with this mock. I know I sound like a broken record because I say that pretty much every time, but that's just how surprised I am. Anyways, this haul came with some really good pieces. This bag in particular, this came with a bunch of these 2x4 slopes for the front and then 2x2 slopes for the back here in dark bluish gray, so I can tear out this whole section, make it all dark bluish for gray, and figure out what I'm going to do with these yellow lines. If I'm going to run them all the way out or where I'm going to stop them and stuff. But the real reason I made this haul, the thing I'm the most excited about, is those sweet 1x4, I don't really know what you want to call them, angled bricks. Those are going to be used to finish off this base. So now I have all the parts I need to finish the walls, and then I can start on the roof. But that's everything I have to update you guys with. Time to get back to work. Time to switch gears and build the interior of the barracks. I finished up all the walls with the angled bricks I got in my haul, and I'm now going to mark out where the bunk beds are going to go. This building is pretty small, so they're going to be a little closer together than I would have liked, but this whole base is not to scale with an actual clone base, so I think it will fit with the smaller proportions of everything else. Next, I'm going to tile off the floor. I had wanted to build some kind of design into the floor with tiles, but once again, the small size of that building made it really hard to do anything of that nature. So for now, it'll just all be dark bluish gray tile and plate, but I can change that in the future if I want. The bunk beds are a custom design, two very simple beds with a ladder on one side to get to that second bed. This is the same design I used for my Jabim mock, so many of you may recognize it. That was one of the reasons I put them in that mock, is so I could test out the design and see if they'd be the right size and fit for Coruscant. Now that one side is finished, I'm just going to copy and paste on the other side. I'm also going to build a large storage locker on the back wall for clones. It won't open, and it's just to fill out the barracks and make them look more lived in and more realistic. I'm probably going to add some shelves and a TV at some point also. Check out this barracks building. It's coming together pretty nicely. So kind of like I was talking about earlier, the proportions with all of this are smaller than I would have liked them to be. These bunk beds are basically up to the ceiling and they're kind of crammed in here, but it's not a huge deal to me because this base is just kind of like a smaller detail of a larger mock, and these an even smaller detail in that. So I feel like they fit the proportions of the base fairly well. Obviously, when I go back and do a clone base for real, everything will be much bigger and much more spacious. Right here, we've got that big old storage locker. I like the way it looks. I kind of just copied my crate design where I connect a bunch of headlight bricks to some regular bricks and then cover the outside with tile just to make it look like some kind of crate, and then I put some 1x3 slopes on top. Now, this should make a lot of you guys happy. I got the lights in, I strung them back here. You can see everything's connected to the transformer and the power box, and so this is what they're going to look like once they're lit up. Just perfect lighting. They create enough illumination to show that they're lit up without, making the shot too bright or making it hard to see everything. That was one of my worries, was adding so many lights to this wall that it would make it hard to show it on the camera and have a lot of glare. But they have a very nice homely glow to them, which makes me very happy. I purposely used the yellow lights just because that's what I felt like would be the most appropriate for some kind of, porch lamp or whatever you want to call it, apartment lamp that's actually the same color that are by my door. I am really having a lot of fun with the lights and the doors and this whole little section here, far more than I thought I would. So I'm really glad that I listened to you guys and decided to put some kind of interior in here. And I'm actually thinking about taking it a step further. Over here on this side, someone suggested when I cut out this wall, I should actually leave this bottom section exposed and have like a cross-section cutaway of what these apartments look like. I don't know if I'm going to do it for each story, or if I'll just have it on the bottom, just to add a little bit more realism to this mock, add some more fun Easter eggs and details, because really this episode, I had a big fundamental shift in thinking with this mock and realized, kind of like I was saying at the beginning of this update, I don't want this to be an empty husk of a mock. I want there to be interiors, insides. I want this mock to really look like it's alive, and I think interiors are going to really help with that. To finish out this week, I'm just going to do some more tiling and building on this street-facing wall of the apartment buildings. I'm going to build some pop-outs on this side as well. I'm going to be experimenting with the larger 2x4 slopes that I was talking about to create some bigger pop-outs. I'm interested to see how they look compared to the smaller ones on the other side. If it'll look weird to have big pop-outs on one side and smaller ones on the other. But that wraps up this week of building Coruscant, and it's time to hit the outro. Well, this week I had a kind of surprising paradigm and mental shift that I was not expecting with the whole kind of interior situation. Like I said, when I started this mock, I had very little plans or very little thoughts toward any kind of interior on the buildings. Really, the only thing I was considering were the clone base and the Galactic Senate building. But now that I've started to put them in, I've realized that's going to take this mock to a whole new level and add a sense of realism that I just wouldn't be able to accomplish just having these empty shells of buildings. Knowing that there's an interior in there and having seen it will just make that building feel so much more lived in and much more realistic. So I want to thank you guys for that feedback and advice. It definitely helped improve this mock, and I'm going to try to incorporate more interiors of buildings and stuff moving forward. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about this update down below in the comments, and I will catch you guys next time. But until then, happy building.